And I'm going to share with you the top 10 lessons that I've learned while on this crazy journey, and hopefully this is going to help you skip some of the mistakes that I've made along the way. So I've been buying luxury bags for the last 20 years, and I've learned a lot along the way. In those 20 years, I've learned so many lessons when it comes to buying, selling, and curating the perfect luxury bag collection. Now, for those of you that caught my bag switch video last week where we dove into all of the different luxury community drama here on YouTube, then you're going to remember that I switched into my stunning Fendi large made-to-order Peekaboo. We put this Fendi wrappy on it, this Burberry shearling tail, which was a conversation starter, that is for sure. But over the weekend, my husband and I, we went to the Midwest Gaming Classic, so I had to switch into a small weekend bag. And for that, I moved into my Dooney & Bourke. This is the Pebble Crossbody 18. Absolutely love this bag, but I'm ready for something new, something fabulous. I'm going to start taking things out and share with you my lessons, starting with materials. So when I first started collecting bags way back, God, it would have been like 2006, I think, when I started collecting, I loved anything signature. Give it a monogram, give it a signature, whether that be, you know, the coated canvas over at Louis Vuitton, the signature jacquard over at Coach. I was obsessed. So that's going to be a two-part for number one. Materials and your tastes are going to evolve. And I was so tacky when I first got started collecting these things because, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking if I'm going to pay the money, I want everyone to know what brand I'm carrying, and my times have changed because now I'm like the absolute polar opposite. I don't want you to know what I'm carrying, and I'm probably going to go for maybe leather or like a really interesting fabric like my cargo Ricky back there. For me, that just works out better. I feel like I get more bang for my buck now with like luxurious materials such as different leathers, exotics, fabrics, and it's just an overall more cohesive look. But like, you don't necessarily want to spend thousands on these gorgeous things that we all love and just end up being a billboard. You know, it took me a long time to get out of that habit. I think, gosh, it was probably about a decade into my collecting where I finally realized that you get more bang for your buck with leather. It's more durable, it's more classic. Anymore, it's kind of like the old debate between Chanel, the lambskin, and the caviar with, you know, sure, you're going to spend a little less on the caviar, but everyone knows the Chanel lambskin, that's where it's at. Well, now I think they're like neck and neck for the price because Chanel figured it out. Like everyone, you know, was buying caviar because it was less expensive, as it should be. It's a more processed leather, but it's kind of the same concept with a lot of the other design houses where Coach's signature should always be less than the leather. Louis Vuitton's monogram is for the most part generally less than the leather. It all just kind of depends, again, on your taste level. As you collect through the years, that is just going to continue to evolve. That's what makes the journey interesting. Each year it changes a little bit, like the brands that you love and the materials you love, and that's just all part of the collecting evolution. Quality and quantity are two very separate things. I'm going to say it again. Quality versus quantity. I don't think that I'm necessarily still struggling with now in my collection, but I did go through a time where, as bag collectors, you kind of need that fix. And a lot of you prolific bag collectors, you're going to understand what I'm saying here. You need that fix. Unless you're Jamie Chua, superstar of the world, who has, you know, that whole climate control walk-in for her Hermes Birkins, we're probably, you know, peppering in like a lot of like contemporary designer bags that, yeah, they give us a fix in the moment, but long term, they're not going to bring you the same joy as something that you had to like really save up for, plan. So there for a time, I think it was like 2023, especially like at the start of the year, like I was buying a ton of vintage like Dooney & Bourke and Coach bags, and by the middle of the year I'd sold them all because they didn't bring me the same joy that a larger purchase would bring, like my Fendi Peekaboos or my Hermes bags, my Ralph Lauren Rickies. Like, hello, like those bags, like every time I get them out of the dust bag, like I just get excited. You know what I mean? Like, it's a thrill to carry those things. Whereas, like, I loved my vintage Coach and Dooney & Bourkes. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely did. I have a couple of vintage pieces still in my collection that I'll probably never get rid of, but they just don't carry the same weight, you know, when you're just buying them to buy and not necessarily like, oh, I remember that was from fall winter 2007 Reed Krakoff, and like I had to have it then and I finally have it now. You've got to kind of walk that fine line between like truly collecting for collection's sake and just buying to buy. Ruminate with that for a little bit. Let's talk about my SLGs. Actually, first, let me introduce myself. You're probably thinking to yourself, like, who is this guy if you're new here? Like, why is he telling me what to do with my bag collection? Well, in that case, hey guys, my name's Caleb. I post luxury and lifestyle related content, both here on YouTube and over my website, curatedbycaleb.com, where you're going to find a storefront. And if you want a little bit more perks and a little bit more access to the channel, consider joining the membership. We have an amazing community. There's a Discord, members meetups, secret members lives. It's a ton of fun, so definitely worth it. Go ahead and hit the join button down below. Find out what it's all about, and hopefully we see you over in the Discord. And maybe at the next members meetup. I'm super excited. For my SLGs, what all do I have? I have a lot here. Within the Fendi Peekaboo, we had the Posh Toilette 15, the Coach pill case, which I need to put these bottles back in because this whole thing is not going to fit in my little crossbody from Dooney and Burke. We have my Chanel, my sunglasses, this little mini skinny, which has a few other odds and ends, the tape measure. I mean, hello. Whenever you're out furniture shopping or thrift shopping, you need to know what size they are. I always have a tape measure with me. It also helps with buying clothes and stuff, believe it or not. 6 key holder in Prada Tessuto nylon. We have the Longchamp brioche case. This houses my Bang & Olufsen headphones. I was in my Louis Vuitton Suhali zippy wallet, but then I changed over to my Dooney & Burke AWL card holder for my little bag. And then I've got a couple of loose things. We've got my Shiseido blotting papers, Hermes chapstick, the car key, and a glasses cloth. Now we're going to be switching over into new SLGs because today I'm switching into a very special bag. And we're going to talk about the next lesson, and that's called patience, because Rome was not built in a day. You know, something that I've learned while collecting bags, it is so easy, especially, you know, because social media wasn't a thing really. Like, of course we had like MySpace and Facebook when I first started back in '06, but it was nothing like today where you had all these people on YouTube like showing off their amazing collections on Instagram, on TikTok, on Discord, on Pinterest. Like, things were much more in a vacuum. Of course we had the Purse Forum back then, which kind of did give you some of that FOMO a little bit, but not to the extent. Like, it feels like now we're constantly being bombarded with imagery and, you know, like the what ifs and the daydreams and the FOMO, but Rome wasn't built in a day. It's super important to remember that, especially as I curate my collection and pivot towards more higher end items like my Hermes, my Ralph Lauren Rickies. You just have to pace yourself. Like, yes, it's fun to look at other people and be like, oh my gosh, she has this amazing Hermes collection, or this guy has so many amazing Rickies. Their journey is their journey. No two journeys are ever going to look the same. A, because we have different tastes. B, we come from different financial backgrounds. Like, someone else can afford to go to Hermes several times a month, where, you know, the casual buyer like myself, like maybe I'll pop in like once every few months. We're all on this different journey together, and we're all going to get to the end point at different times, and no two collections are ever going to look the same. Someone over here might have like a whole room full of Birkins, which, hello, aspiration goals 100, but I need to take my time, and I might be able to add another Birkin every 2 or 3 years. Rome wasn't built in a day. Don't think it's gonna happen overnight. As much as we all wanted to, it's all gonna take time to build the perfect collection. And speaking of Hermes, have you guessed what bag I'm switching into for the week? Because I am so excited to carry it. We are moving into my Hermès Lindy 34. This is in the Evercolor leather in the color Aton. Guys, this bag is stunning. So I bought this actually last year. This was my big H purchase for 2024. I'm excited to see what 2025 brings. Who knows, maybe another Birkin, maybe another Kelly. But this one, it still had its stickers on, but the previous owner took it to the beach. I had to vacuum sand out of it, and I found sea glass, so that was a fun find. Like, I get it, like, use your stuff and enjoy it, but to the beach? A big, dark leather bag to the beach. I could not think of something more uncomfortable to carry. That's why I have a whole selection of LL Bean boat and totes in my closet. You do you, I guess. So let's switch SLGs here. So we're going to move from my Posh Toilette 15. This is the Hermes Caro pouch. This is in the Swift leather color blue jean with the palladium hardware. What is my next lesson? Well, that is probably going to kind of tie into going to the beach with an Hermes. Luxury does not always equal durability. Just because you paid a small fortune for a handbag doesn't mean it's going to last your lifetime or that it's for everyday use. And I know this sounds like an oxymoron because you're thinking to yourself, like, Caleb, you just said use my stuff, but you have to use it wisely. You have to take care of your things. Yes, it's still fun to like kind of throw around a Birkin and have like a beat up Birkin, but at the end of the day, you need to take care of it so that way it lasts your lifetime. Having worked in luxury sales as well, we would get gorgeous things, like things done in like ostrich feathers. You're probably thinking to yourself, like, okay, that sounds like it was expensive, and it was, but that doesn't mean it's going to be durable for everyday use. You have to be mindful with your things. Very demure, very cutesy. Can we bring that back for summer 2025? So in my mind, like, I'm thinking like a lot of people they'll buy a designer handbag and then they're surprised that it's not like the perfect everyday workhorse. You can't always expect a bag to be your everyday workhorse. It's going to depend on A, your lifestyle, B, the materials of the bag. So like obviously an ostrich feather bag isn't going to be good for like the workplace, lugging your big laptop back and forth, but it's going to make a beautiful bag for evenings out and things like that. So you just have to be a little bit more conscious of what your lifestyle is, how you need your bags to perform to match your lifestyle. Keep in mind, just because you paid a fortune does not mean it's going to be durable. Now, speaking of luxury prices, first of all, let's switch into my new wallet. This is the Hermes Baron wallet in Blue Jean Lizard. Absolutely stunning. I love this piece. The next lesson is sticking to that same vein of luxury prices and what to expect. Luxury bags are no longer an investment. What do I mean by that? Because you're probably used to everybody here on YouTube and Instagram and Pinterest telling you, hey guys, buy that Louis Vuitton bag. It's going to be an investment for your money. Buy the Hermes. Well, I mean, Hermes is kind of a one-off because it will kind of hold money. The regular bags, they're not investments. So back when I first started, you could go into the boutique, buy a bag from Louis Vuitton, carry it for 2 or 3 years, and because of those small incremental price increases, sell it for about what you paid, if not maybe a little bit more if you were smart and bought it in like the right colorway or material. You could sometimes make your money back and plus some. But now, there's so many factors that kind of negate all of that in the past, because first and foremost, houses like Louis Vuitton, like they're sending out 15, 20 collections a year. Whereas before, when it was under Marc Jacobs and much better, in my opinion, you would see like, okay, there'd be a Murakami drop, but then it'd be like another year or so before another big drop or another big collection came from the house. You always had those perennial classics. And of course, they always offered them in the various leathers like Suhali or Epi or Vernis. Mahina was gorgeous. But they didn't have like the constant new collection constantly dropping, which in my mind has just made it's like Zara, but with a comma in the price tag, like is absolutely insane these days. You can't do that anymore. Sure, like I said, like your Hermes bags are gonna hold value better than others. But if you had bought Chanel when it was much lower price than it is these days, which hopefully you did, I was not smart enough to jump on that train, you might see like an extra return for your money there as well, just because the new Chanel, oh my gosh, a jumbo flap was like what, $2,000-$3,000 back in the day, and now it's $10K. It's absolutely insanity. Don't buy for monetary investment. If you want to invest, put your money in the stock market. Well, not right now anyway. You get what I mean. Like get a CD, like a high return on your savings account. Buy some property if you want, but don't think that you're going to buy a designer handbag and keep it for years and sell it at a massive profit. You most likely aren't going to be that lucky. I hate to burst your bubble, but it's true. This is the most gorgeous wallet I have ever owned. Lizard is one of my favorite exotics. The fact that I'm slowly going through and collecting all of my Hermes SLGs in the blue jean colorway, so it's a vibe. I know it is. So my next lesson that I want to share with you guys, and this is sticking to the same vein of like price and what you're willing to spend and how much you can afford. Don't go into debt for this stuff. Seriously, don't go into debt. Don't just, swipe the Discover card for these things, because trust me, you're going to end up paying a lot more than you already were paying up front, and that is already a very hefty fee, and it's just not worth it to pay the extra interest, especially if you're kind of relying on something like this to be an investment. Brand new from the store, this Lindy and the Evercolor leather, size 34, set the original owner probably back $10,000. And something like this, because this isn't the cute little TBE energy that, like the mini Lindy is, this probably could resell for about $3,000 to $6,000. So you've already lost money up front. And if you had charged that in the first place and you didn't pay it off all within the same month, well, then you also paid interest on top of that. It just does not make sense, especially now. We've got to be a lot more smarter with our money. We have to, know where our pennies are going. Don't waste it on interest. Trust me. Just don't go down that hill. I've seen too many horror stories where, people didn't realize, and like all of a sudden, like they get the Amex bill and like, oh, okay, that's a down payment for a house. But so just don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it. This next one, it's kind of a 2-part lesson, but figure out what you want. And don't buy filler bags, because again, filler bags it's like what we talked about earlier with like that, I need a quick fix, so I'm just going to buy this less expensive contemporary bag to kind of, scratch that itch. Filler bags are even worse. For me personally, like my end all be all bags were my Birkin and my Kelly. And over the years, I have spent so much money trying to buy bags that in my mind would fill that void in my collection. Like give me that trapezoidal shape with the flap and the sangles and the top handle. I mean, case in point, I thought this would scratch the itch for a Kelly, and I literally wore this bag to go and buy my Kelly 3 years ago. It's not worth it. Filler bags are never worth it. So if you're someone who, say you want the Birkin or the Kelly, or I don't know, maybe something less expensive like a Louis Vuitton Speedy, don't buy the filler bags that you think are going to satisfy you. Just save that money, because you're never going to be truly happy with a filler bag. Like 100% truly happy with the filler bag over having the real thing that you absolutely want, your holy grail. I think I had bought 4 Peekaboos at the time. Of those 4 Peekaboos, if I had just spent another $2,000, I could have had the Kelly that I bought anyway in the long run. So it just makes sense to kind of recognize, like, why am I buying this bag to fill a void that, like, I need something in my collection, like a holy grail or something that I'm telling myself that I'll never be able to afford, or I can't afford, or I shouldn't afford. We'll just cut out the nonsense. I've been there before, so I'm not throwing any shade, but I think a lot of people buy so many handbags because in their mind, like, okay, 10 $300 bags isn't as bad as one $3,000 bag. Well, the $3,000 bag might have satisfied you in the long run, and resale value. I know I said these things weren't investments, so don't take this the wrong way, but a $300 bag 5 years from now, you might get $80, $120, $150 if you're lucky. The $3,000 bag, you'd probably be able to resell for about $1,500 in 3 or 4 years, like at the low end. Buy what you truly want, skip the filler, quantity versus quality. It's basically the same lesson. Just really pay attention to that one. To sum everything up in one word when it comes to collecting these beautiful things, I would have to use the word curate. At the end of the day, it's going to be the most important to find out what works best for you, what you truly enjoy to carry, what kind of reflects your essence, your personal style. Curation is so important when it comes to this kind of stuff that we love talking about. But I mean, at the end of the day, even though that's a huge consideration, just enjoy it. These things should bring you joy. They should be beautiful. They should add to your life, not, become your life. And I think truly once you accept both of those facts, you're going to really love collecting bags. Trends. Do not worry about trends, especially, with social media. Like, we're all getting bombarded, like I said, on the different social media platforms. And it can get easy to be sucked in and think like, oh, everybody, what was it, like 5 or 6 months ago, we're showing off mini Lindys, just for example, because I have a big one here. In my head, I thought like, oh my God, I need a mini Lindy in my collection. I'm ready to shell out the $12,000 that it is for resale. I had to talk myself off the ledge. I'm like, listen, why do I really want a mini Lindy? Do I want something crossbody? Well, crossbody's like my least favorite style of bag to carry. Is it because, I just want another Hermes in my collection? Like, what's the true reason for wanting the mini Lindy? And I had to kind of recognize that it's because I was being exposed to it, overexposed. And I think that a lot of bags that come to mind over the years, like some of the YSL bags that everyone just had to have, overexposure on social media. So just don't fall into the trap of trends, and especially here on YouTube, because it feels like a lot of the collections are kind of the same. They're almost interchangeable sometimes. Like, it feels like a lot of us have like a lot of overlapping bags, the same bags, and we all seem to unbox them all at the same time. Like, I just remember everyone was like popping off with Coach Empires, like, what was it, last fall. It's easy to get sucked into that trend trap and think like, well, everyone else has it, so obviously I need it. Pump the brakes, ask yourself why you want it, and does it fit your lifestyle? Is it the money that you want to spend right now on that item? There's a lot of questions that I like to ask myself before I truly, take the plunge and buy something. Case in point, like today I found a wool Ricky over on eBay. Ever since Hermes, their whole like autumn winter 2025, I did a video on it, so link will be down below. Ever since they showed that Birkin and the wool felt, I'm like, I need a wool bag. Once I shared it over on the Discord, someone very kindly came in and said, hey Caleb, not to dampen your spirits, but that looks an awful lot like the Ricky you just bought, which is also fabric and very fabulous. I'm like, okay, I see it. And part of me was like, that felt trend. Like, I wanted to, obviously it's going to be a very long time before I can have a felt Birkin 25, probably about a decade. Like, I'm working towards it. Again, everybody's journey is different. Lesson, see, we're already relearning some things. And it would have just been a filler bag. I wouldn't have loved it as much as the Rickies I already have. And in my mind, I already have like 10 to 15 very special limited edition Rickies that I'm looking out for. So it just would have muddied the waters and it would not have been a smart purchase. So don't fall into FOMO, don't fall into trends. Buy what you like because you like it. Don't worry about it being an investment, because I bought that Ricky back there brand new, and I know full well, as a Ricky collector, someone who absolutely loves the Ralph Lauren brand, sadly the Rickies don't hold their value. So you have to be able to justify it in your mind, in your collection, where your money's going, how you're spending it, and make sure it resonates with you and not just because 13 different people have it on YouTube. Trust me, it's not worth it. This next lesson is a very important one. Never let anyone make you feel bad about selling your bag, because for some reason, there's this like attitude that if a content creator here on YouTube unboxes a new bag, like they have to keep it for life. And that is just one of the least reasonable expectations of a content creator that I've ever heard. And it blows my mind because I see it on the forums. I see people complaining in the comments like, oh, so-and-so just bought that bag a month ago or 2 or 3 years ago in my case, most often. And now they're selling it. How dare they? Like, if a bag isn't working for you, allow yourself to resell it and do so in a way that's safe. Whether, you know, if you're someone who isn't quite adventurous, doesn't want to go through the wild of selling on eBay, Vestiaire, Poshmark, you know, the likes of that, then find, you know, shop around for a good quote from like the Rebag or the Real or the Fashion File or the Yugi's Closet. Shop around, get the best quote you can, get your money out of that bag. And if you want to buy a new bag, put that money towards the new bag. Maybe you're like me and you're figuring out like, hey, a whole bunch of Fendi Peekaboos and a Muse 2 doesn't quite equal out to be an Hermes Kelly. Put that money into the Hermes Kelly. That's what I do. Whenever I'm ready to sell, I just sell a whole bunch all at once. And I have to ask myself, like, is this a bag that gives me butterflies? Whenever I see it sitting in my closet or I'm pulling it out of the dust bag to carry for the week like this. This is like, oh my gosh, absolutely stunning. I've wanted a Lindy for so long. I finally have it. I get to carry it now. But other bags in my collection, I'm just kind of like, okay, you know, I should probably rotate that in, right? Like, so allow yourself the space to sell a bag. Recognize why you're selling it. Don't make the same mistake twice because a lot of people will just kind of rebuy the same bag over and over again, but in a different color. So if it's a style or a type of bag, like maybe top handles don't work for your lifestyle and that's why you're selling the bag, not because you're bored with the bag, but because top handles don't work for you. Recognize why you're selling it and allow yourself the space to. I do think here on YouTube that there's like it's kind of split. I think sometimes people are just buying to unbox, but in my case, like I've done the research, I've wanted the bag for a very long time, either when I couldn't afford it back in college, or it's just something that's always been stuck in my mind, like Charlotte's boogie. Like, how perfect that I found the exact matching boogie that Charlotte carried in Sex and the City. But then when the time comes to let it go, say your piece and just let it go. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't sell it, because at the end of the day, it's your collection, your money, and it was your lesson to learn. So on that note, guys, I hope my 10 lessons of handbag collecting has helped you in some way. Maybe you've learned not to make some of the mistakes that I have over the last 20 years. You're going to make mistakes of your own. So let me know down in the comments, like, what were some of your lessons that you want to share with the group? And until next time, happy collecting, stay safe, have fun. I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.